In fact, Bush Sr. deserves some credit because, as he put it, he did not go tap dance on the Berlin Wall and say, ha, 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 we won and you lost. Because if he had done that, that would have helped the hardliners.
Yes.
That would have saved the Soviet Union. The fact that he stayed home and played it relatively cool, at least in terms of the gloating, actually made it easier for Yeltsin to ultimately destroy what was left of the USSR for us.
That's my question.
And so... Then see, America, the Bush Sr. government actually wanted to uphold the Soviet Union, to prolong the Soviet Union and protect it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because see, what they wanted to do was dissolve the Warsaw Pact. They wanted to let the satellite countries go free. And as far as the Soviet republics, they wanted the Baltics to go free. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. But
HW wanted that.
HW wanted for the USSR to remain under what was going to be called the New Union Treaty, and it was going to include Belarus, Ukraine, and the Stans in South Asia still. And what happened was the commies, the hardliners, did a coup in August of 1991, which failed. And to his credit, Bush Sr. refused to take a phone call from the commie and would only take a phone call from Gorbachev. So the coup failed. That wasn't why, but that was part of why the coup failed. But it was really Boris Yeltsin, who was the president of Russia. Mm-hmm. And he led the people who crushed the coup and saved Gorbachev. But then he did his own coup, and he went ahead and overthrew what was left of the USSR at all himself by making a secret deal with the leader of Belarus and Ukraine and agreeing to break the last thing apart. The USA had nothing to do with that and did not want that. As Brent Scowcroft says, we didn't want Ukraine. We just wanted Eastern Europe. Ukraine is east of Eastern Europe, to Brent Scowcroft, Bush Sr.'s alter ego here. So there, not that I'm taking his side, but I'm just saying you can see why they didn't want that kind of trouble. They didn't necessarily want the USSR to dissolve. They just wanted for Poland and Hungary and the Baltics to go free.
Did you know that 1 in 8 Americans are currently prescribed anti-anxiety medications? It is a quiet epidemic that is sweeping the West right now. And people who start on these medications have a very hard time quitting. Recovering from benzodiazepine addiction or alcohol addiction is essentially like recovering from brain damage. But what if I told you that a legal mushroom that has been weirdly embedded into our culture is helping people to finally get off these GABAergic substances? I'm talking about Amanita muscaria, the little red top mushroom with the white dots that's depicted in Alice in Wonderland and Mario. This is a legal mushroom to buy, possess, and sell in every state except Louisiana. And thousands of people are using it to get off benzodiazepines and alcohol. This mushroom isn't only for people looking to quit their anti-anxiety medications. People are tapping into its power as a natural nootropic for focus during studies and work, a non-addictive alcohol replacement at parties, a dream-enhancing tool for vivid nights, and even a gentle aid for pain recovery. Amanita can do a lot more than help you quit GABAergics, and it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. For years, there was a massive gap in the market where nobody in the United States was reliably importing this mushroom. That's where Minnesota Nice comes in, providing you with the highest quality raw Amanita and consumer-ready Amanita products at a price that you can afford. So use Minnesota Nice to help find your harmony today, and go to www.mnniceethno.com/Julian. That link is in my description below, and use code JD22 for 22% off your first order. That's www.mnniceethno.com/Julian, link in description below, and use code JD22 for 22% off. Much love. Interesting. So you're effectively saying they wanted a halfer of what they got.
Yeah, it went
That's
further
not
than
well
they had
known
intended.
history.
I know.
I didn't know that at all.
The book is called Provoked: How Washington Started the New Cold War with Russia and the Catastrophe in Ukraine, and it's all in there for you.
Interesting.
In fact, your audience might be familiar with what was called the Chicken Kiev Speech, and this is where Bush Sr. went to Kiev and he gave a speech to the Rada where he said independence is not the same as freedom. And America will not support you moving on any timetable other than what Gorbachev has in mind in Moscow. And so don't come looking to me to help you declare independence from them. He said it to their parliament.
All right, question.
And then he said, and beware of ethnic nationalism and the danger of suicidal ethnic nationalism, and the horror it can bring to your country, like before, etc.
That didn't work out too well.
And then it was William Safire, who I don't think was actually a neoconservative, but he was very close to the neoconservatives, who wrote for the New York Times, who called it the Chicken Kiev Speech, which you got to admit, like, here's your chance to destroy the USSR once and for all. And they're like doing everything they can to prop it up. I'm not taking their side and thing. I mean, I would have had a total non-interventionist policy and it would have happened, And in fact, Bush Sr. deserves some credit because, as he put it, he did not go tap dance on the Berlin Wall and say, ha, 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 we won and you lost. Because if he had done that, that would have helped the hardliners.
Yes.
That would have saved the Soviet Union. The fact that he stayed home and played it relatively cool, at least in terms of the gloating, actually made it easier for Yeltsin to ultimately destroy what was left of the USSR for us.
That's my question. That's what I'm thinking as you're explaining this whole thing. And this is a little bit of I'm not well versed on this part, so I appreciate you going through this. But H.W. Bush is a lifelong spy. You're talking about a guy who literally made his bones on subversive tactics. Could it not have been some sort of, passive aggressive, double speak, reverse psychology in a way? No. For him to do that? You don't think that's a possibility?
No, look, Gorbachev wanted the new Union Treaty. Bush's position was, I want what Gorbachev wants. That's it. It was Yeltsin who overthrew Gorbachev. And I never seen any indication anywhere that the CIA put him up to it or anything like that. That was Yeltsin taking his chance. That was not America's doing. The CIA didn't even know the Soviet Union was falling apart because the CIA was too busy lying that they were 12 feet tall, so they could justify American militarism. Robert Gates was the head of the CIA at the time, and they missed this whole thing. And even as it was all unraveling, they still were not saying that, oh, yeah, their days are numbered, sir, until it was all over. And they're like, well, red flag is down. Hooray. Yeah, we did it. Right? Like the FBI taking credit when some guy's dad turns him in. We found him. In the parking lot. Yeah.
I'll see you in Valhalla, brother. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Do you, when you look at the history of CIA, something that's born after World War II, but effectively was born as the OSS, during World War II, all those figures eventually created what we now know as CIA. It is quite obvious that there is scandal after scandal, overstep after overstep, bureaucracy taking control of the will of the people, and holding, I mean, you could even go just straight up and say holding blackmail or whatever you want to say over the people that we supposedly elect into power. Is there anything good about the CIA in your book? Are there things that they do on a daily basis that you think are useful?
I mean, there must be some pat answer in there, right, about how they read foreign newspapers and tell the president what they say. Maybe they have some electronic spying or some sources somewhere that give them some insight. But, I mean, overall, by and large, no, they are absolutely the destructive force that you describe them to be. And why? Because it's unaccountable power. They got a black budget. And they can never get in trouble for anything. By definition, their job is to break the law. And that's what a finding is. It's an order by the president to do something.
That's right.
And it can be as illegal as hell. And so they're a post-constitutional national security bureaucracy fit for an old world empire, not a constitutional republic at all.
Post-constitutional, what was that phrase? Post-constitutional?
A national security bureaucracy, right? Like the rest of them. There are a bunch of them, yeah. I mean, all this stuff was invented after World War II, which goes to show that it ain't part of what was the American system up until it was, and doesn't have to be,
So you think it's... Well, it's kind of obvious when I say this. Of course it's different. But like the premise of having an apparatus like that, assuming for a second it's not completely taking advantage of everything, which it is. But the premise of having like a spy apparatus is an American when, we won the Revolutionary War because of our spy apparatus. I would argue that was probably the most important thing.
But see, here's the thing. If we renounce all our power, then the foreign spies don't have much business to accomplish here, right? The whole point of a foreign spy in America is to bend the American government to their will to exercise their global imperial power in favor of whatever government. But if we don't have a world empire, then they're just barking up the wrong tree. I'm saying let's be the wrong tree.
So you think
America itself is safe. We have 2 weak and friendly neighbors and marine life to the east. Yeah, Canada and Mexico could never threaten us ever. We have threatened them numerous times, but never vice versa, right? You count Pancho Villa's raids or something.
I don't know
Okay.
if I would characterize Mexico as fully friendly, just to be fair. I
Well-
mean, it's run by cartels. Let's
Okay,
be
but
honest.
fine. But I'm just saying their military force has no intention to cross our borders in a violent way in the next couple of hundred
Fair.
years that we got to worry about, right? We got gigantic oceans, east and west. And as Ron Paul said, we could defend this country with a couple of good submarines. That's enough to sink your Navy if you want to come anywhere near our guys. And it's enough, one sub can hold 200 H-bombs. That's enough to kill all of Russia with just one of our submarines. So we can hold the entire world hostage. Don't anybody ever nuke us or we will nuke you. And maybe that's hyperbole, a couple of good submarines, fine. A dozen then. Well, like, what do you want from me? Like, we don't need a world empire to secure North America. And who framed Donald Trump for treason? The CIA and the FBI counterintelligence division. Why do we have a CIA and a counterintelligence division?
To not do that.
Because we're a world empire. And so we need a CIA and an FBI counterintelligence division. And then when the people vote wrong, they just do a coup the same way they do anywhere else. I mean, look at the way that they framed Trump for treason, essentially with the same thing they did to Saddam Hussein.
Same thing.
Yeah, just tell 1,000 lies. The Russiagate hoax, not one word of that was true, not one word of it.
That's been proven.
10,000 accusations. It's the exact same thing they did to Saddam Hussein. Then in 2020, they did it just like they would do like the Orange Revolution or the Rose Revolution when they're overthrowing a friendly government to Russia in their near abroad. And they treated Trump just like he was Yanukovych in that case.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.